us for a moment? All right. So I think we're going to go ahead and we are going to get started. So first of all, I want to welcome everybody that's coming on the show. Maybe you haven't been here before, and this is the Smart Twitter Talk Show. And today we're going to be talking about ways to attract Twitter followers for maximum engagement, which is the fourth part in our 4-part series. Because it's important not to just get any followers, but it's important to get the right followers. And so there's ways that you can attract those followers if you just put out you do some little tweaks on your profile. Okay. And so first of all, I just like to encourage everybody to share out the show because, another great way to get warm followers is to be a resource. And so this is good information for everybody that's using Twitter. And so if you could tweet that out, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you go over to your left-hand side and hit the tweet button that's right up over the questions, that's how you would tweet it out if you don't already know how to do so. And we would greatly appreciate it. To send the good word out for good information coming on. Now, before I give the rules here, I would like to we're going to introduce ourselves first. And my name is Elizabeth Hall, and I've dubbed myself the extraordinary Twitter marketing consultant specializing in all things Twitter related. And I show business owners how to increase their followers and increase engagement. And the biggie is to increase website traffic using Twitter marketing techniques. Now, I'm also an Amazon author of the Dig Deep and Excel Twitter Marketing Action Sheet Guide and the facilitator of the TwitterMasteryLab.com. So I'm not only a trainer at heart, but I teach students my knowledge of all things Twitter related from a user's perspective as well. And then we have...
Well, thank you, Vanna.
You're welcome.
Anyway, good afternoon. Thank you I thank everybody for coming. I thank you for tweeting it out and Facebooking it out as well and telling your friends. My name is Thomas Clark Jr., Thomas L. Clark Jr. I'm the owner of Charlotte Social 360. We are a digital agency headquartered right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And our goal in brand and differentiation is all about social selling. We are a premium social brand to the B2C and the B2B marketplace. We attack social selling from two perspectives. We first look at your reputation, the reputation management and monitoring. So we look at your online and look at your offline and take your offline reputation as well. And we want to be sure you're listed in all the directories, make sure you're listed correctly. If you got any bad reviews, we want to make sure that we can at least address them and things of that nature, and make sure that your reputation is intact. Then we also help you and save you a tremendous amount of time for our solopreneurs as well as B2B and B2C clients. As far as posting and actually managing your social media and online presence at the appropriate social media networks, looking for that avatar for you. And once we discover that avatar, we market via Twitter, is what we're going to talk about today, and the other appropriate social media networks to that avatar to get you more clients and deepen those relationships with your existing clients.
All right. So again, this is our last part in this particular series, but again, this isn't our last show. So we're going to post up the link to the next show as well, so you can go over and you can subscribe to the next show for the Smart Twitter Talk Show. So that's going to get posted for you. And before we start, we always like to do a lot of rules because we're not rule breakers, and we like to kind of set things out there to begin with. And so, of course, we want people to play nicely over on the sidelines. And we'll have 1 hour. The show is 1 hour long, and then after the show is over with, that's when we'll be fielding questions. So we'll have our Q&A at the end of the hour. And so if you want to ask questions ahead of time, you can. So the questions will already be out there, and you'll just do that by putting a Q/space and then put your question in, and then your question will show up and we can answer it as the show progresses. There'll also be a special offer at the end for all those that stay to the end, which I'm sure you will, because we have like some great information for you on today's show. So with that, we are going to go ahead and we are going to get started, because I think hopefully everybody has already gone over and they've taken the survey as well. Did you want to add anything else, Thomas, before we actually get started?
No, I think we should. I think we should just go ahead and get started, and I'll add my 2 cents anytime I deem it worthy.
All right. Okay. So first of all, I just wanted to kind of take like a little bit of a poll right here on the show itself. And I want to find out like how many people have attended, the past shows in this series and they found it valuable. If you found the information that we've been putting out on the past shows valuable, I would love it if you put a 1 over in the comments. Because again, we just want to make sure that we are serving our community in the best way and that you're getting value. So if you've been to the other shows, please put a 1 over in the chat, just to let us know that we are serving you well with the information that we're putting out. And I also wanted to ask as well, how many of you are still on the fence about what you need to do to really attract warm leads to your Twitter profile? Because I think lots of people kind of get caught up on getting more followers, but it's more important that you have quality followers. So I also wanted to find out how many people are still kind of struggling with that. And if you are, put a 2 over in the chat if you're still kind of struggling with that. And don't worry, we're not judging. We're just, just trying to find out. And so, and then I have one more question, and that is how many of you are actually taking action with the information that we're giving you? Because that's one of the most important parts, is to be taking action on the information that we're giving you. So if you're taking action on the information we've given you, the useful information, put a 3 over in the chat. So put a 3 if we don't see no 3s, then you guys on the next show, you should be putting a 3 when I ask that question, because we like to give information that you can actually use. We don't hold anything back. So we're going to give you all that we have on this information, and then you need to go out and take action. So make sure that you're taking notes, because we have some good stuff coming up. So all these questions I asked you, these are things that Thomas and this is what we coach our clients on. So because lots of people are still kind of on the fence on how to attract their warm followers. And so that's some of the things that we're going to be talking about today.
And also just as importantly, Elizabeth, I think it's great that people are applying it. Anyway, and we are all about engagement, and we would love to hear your results. I mean, I'd love to hear that you're getting results from these, and if you're not, I'd like to hear that too, because maybe because based, like I said, we're giving you practical information that we've tried for our own businesses as well as for our clients. And, like I said, everybody's mileage may vary, but we've seen these tips and these tactics work. So that's exactly what we want to see you implement in your business, because it's like I said, it's like Nike. You got to just do it. You got to try it. And just make sure that they work and let us know. I think that's the important part.
Great saying to just do it, because for 2016, my whole thing is centered around taking action. So, and I think other people should take action as well. So by the end of this show, we would have discussed in detail, combined with the other 3 parts of this series, over 40 ways to attract warm leads with simple techniques that you may not have thought about again. So let's move on, and we're going to start with the first one for this particular show. And the first one that we're going to discuss is to that you want to shape the perception of your followers by being a resource and answering questions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we mean by that when we say to shape the perception, I kind of made like a really good analogy of this. And that is, people don't really know you until you invite them to your house. And then when they come to your house, then that's when they really see the person that you are, on the morals that you stand for and the values that you have. And so it's kind of the same way with your Twitter profile. And that's one reason why it needs to be filled out completely. And the content that you post there and the images you post there need to reflect what your brand stands for, because you're putting goodwill out into the world when you post things to your profile. So if you are using your profile for business and for personal, that may be one reason to kind of divide things up and split things up. Of course, if you do have a business or personal brand, it's always nice to post some personal information there too, because people want to see they want to know that there's a person behind the brand. Mm. So again, with the perception, when people come over, they're coming to your house. You're showing them what you're all about. You're communicating with them, because you're not just posting out things. Twitter is a social network, and you need to be social when you're over there. And that's what people expect. So not only should you wait for people to contact you, sometimes you need to contact them as well. And you can do that by sending a simple tweet. You can retweet other people's stuff. You can share images with them. Of course, you want to always give value and share valuable information as well, and answer people's questions. I think I found like some business owners, they're really hesitant to ask people's questions or even put that offer out there. What do you think about that, Thomas?
Yeah, well, here's what I would add to that. You have to do it. You really have to. Twitter is a perfect platform for engagement. It's all about engagement in a sense that if people are DMing you, some people don't do it, but, DM them back, answer them back. Watch your notifications. Take a time, put it in your schedule. I'm going to watch my notifications at least twice a day. I have it in my schedule that we watch our clients all the time as well as ours. It's very imperative that you do that, because It's a very engagement oriented, because at the end of the day, if you're going to follow somebody and what we taught you in some of the previous one, and they follow you back, that you've kind of made a bond, sort of a thing that you're actually going to engage. Now, and then after you find and when you see the opportunity to engage with them around your content and things of that nature, you should. I think that's just imperative to do that.
Perception is everything. They say you can't judge a book by its cover, and that's really true. So people might just take a glance and just kind of look you over. But if there's a way for you to attract people to your profile so that they can really see what your brand is all about, then you just want to make sure that you have relevant messages out there to show them, so that you can attract the right people and not just any people. It's easy to get followers. It's super easy to get followers, and you have to understand that not all followers are going to be within your audience, but you can make sure that net that you put out there is not so wide by doing things that actually make a difference. So,
well, just as you said, Elizabeth, when you invite people to your house, you want to give them some wine and cheese, right? Right. You want to be nice to them, right? All right. They'll come back. So think of your engagement and the things that you're doing with your followers, that you're being a good host or hostess at your house, and that way people will stay and they will want to come back and things of that nature. So because it's all about building the relationship, and think about it. That's why I said don't get it twisted. Social media is these tools, Twitter especially, is about relationship building and what I call social selling. We'll talk a little bit more about that before our program's over today as well.
Yep. And so the next thing that we wanted to talk about was to have a regular contest. And this is probably more of an advanced topic, but anybody can still do it. It's always important to kind of focus on the basics, but there's one thing that you can do is have contests, and contests are a really great way to keep people coming back. And so it's good to attract your warm followers, but you still want them to kind of return to your profile and be looking for information and content from you. And one great way to do that is to have like regular contests. And you can have, I mean, you can be creative with the contests that you make up. And of course, you don't have to reinvent the wheel either. You can do some corporate espionage, and you can take a look at what your competition is doing as far as contests, or not even your competition, but some other people. Maybe you can use some of the contests that they're doing and kind of mold it for your brand. You just want to make sure that it's relevant to your brand. And a great example would be if you have a book, you could, like, maybe once a month, you can say the most engaging follower of the month is going to get a free book from me. And so that's pretty easy to track. And, if you don't have time to track it, you can always hire somebody like Thomas or myself, our organization. We do things like that, is to help people to track contests like that. And so that's just like one example. You can really like be creative when it comes to the contest that you put out there. There are ways that you can, you just need to sit down with your pen and pencil and just think about first, like what is it that you sell, what products and services, things that you can give away. And people will be looking for that. You could also use lead generation cards for your contest that you run, because you can capture emails. You can tell people you can opt into this list in order to be considered to be a winner for this particular contest. So that's another great way. You can build your email list at the same time, and then, keep the followers coming back as well. And so, of course, you don't want to give away the house, but, there's things that, you can give away, and you could just brainstorm on that and figure out what will work for your business.
Well, you can give away that scented candle on that coffee table at least. Come on. I say give away the house.
Thomas, that is not relevant to my brand, okay?
Well,
everything has to be in the funnel, and the candle is not in the funnel. So just keep that in mind. So people, they think you can just give away anything.
Right. Well, actually, I was. Yeah, and those that know me, I was obviously joking, but because it has to be relevant and something of value, right? It has to be something valuable to the prospect or the suspect or your existing client. If they don't, like, it's just like you have a blog and nobody is reading it. If you're giving away your blog as a contest, a winner to the contest, and nobody's reading it or finding it valuable, that's not really much of a contest.
Not at all.
So just test it. It's like if you have an ebook and you're finding a lot of engagement and people like it, give out your ebook in a contest or something. Even if you're not a fabulous author like Mrs. Elizabeth Hall here, she has her own book, and as well as a Twitter Mastery Lab, give out an ebook, which is a shortened version of it. I always think of the one that I use, and I see a lot of people use effectively, is a checklist or the how-to. People love things about how-to. They're short, they're simple, they're very concise. And people like, okay, how to do this, how to do Twitter lead generation card, how to do, XYZ, but make it relative to, it has to be related to your brand, and it has to be related to your audience. And think about it, especially the people that have local audiences, national audiences, or international audiences, you have a bigger challenge. And that's why I tell people, before you do any content, think about your contest strategy. Think about your audience. That's the most important aspect of it, and the most time consuming. and really, before you do these things, really map out that strategy, what you're going to do for each of your contest winners and what they find valuable. Because, like, for example, if you have an international market, maybe your people in the United States really prefer something. And this is the kind of thing that Elizabeth and I do when we check in analytics for our clients and for our brands. But you may have people in Asia Pacific or in Australia that didn't like that content. They're not getting much value out of it. So you got to offer in your contest to that audience something a little different than you did to the US audience. And I just use that as an example. But I guess it's just something I'm trying to get the wheels turning with all of you to think about that, because the strategy, and you were here, Elizabeth, I know you hear every week us talk about this strategy piece. That is the most compelling, important part of any contest or anything you're doing in the social media world. And I'll get off my rant about strategy, because Elizabeth, she probably tired of hearing me say it.
That's a good point that you brought up too, because even all the tips and the tips that we're giving people and the tools that we suggest, you always have to kind of take the things that you're learning. You have to take them with a grain of salt, because you have to test things to make sure that they're going to work for you. Because what works for me may not work for somebody else, because we may have different audiences. And another good thing that you talked about that definitely I've done is giving away checklists. You'd be surprised. You can put a checklist together in 20 minutes.
Right.
And then you can make sure that that checklist has a link to a product in it as well. So yes, you're giving away a free checklist, but people love checklists. This is kind of crazy. Yeah. So they love quotes, they love checklists. So checklists are definitely that's like a no-brainer right there. It just takes nothing, because you may be using checklists that you can share with other people. Yep. Within that are using that information within that industry that you already have. You may already have those checklists, and then you can use those. So definitely, checklists are gold.
Yeah, just to tell you, just to kind of further amplify that, I had one client that used a checklist approach in their business, and they're actually here local, and they got about a 785% increase just from doing how-to stuff. On their checklist. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. That's one of the biggest ones I'm seeing. I'm not saying you'll get that, but I'm saying, that's the possibility, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say to you. So think about it. Especially, and you also what I like about that, it gives you the authoritative figure in your industry, in your vertical, right? Because you're giving out information how to do things specifically in your vertical, your industry, and you'd be surprised how much goodwill and how much authoritative influence that gives you. Like if you're speaking at local commerce, your local commerce, your commerce meetings and things of that nature, you'd be surprised just how many people really read that stuff when you do that and really like those kind of tips.
Yeah.
So anyway, how-to, that's a good one.
It definitely demonstrates your expertise and shows you as an authority. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. And the next one is to offer exclusive deals to your audience. Like I'm offering an exclusive deal at the end of this blab. So if you guys stay around, you'll see what the exclusive deal is. But you can do that on Twitter as well. And when you offer an exclusive deal on Twitter, they call it what's called a tweet exclusive. And that is actually Twitter terminology. It's called a tweet exclusive. And that's when you are offering a deal to your Twitter followers that they can't get anyplace else. So, and you can use that for Blab as well, and so you just tell your audience, this is for Valentine's. I'm giving 30% off of, the twittermasterylab.com. And it's only for my Twitter followers for, the next 24 hours. That's it. So you have to be a follower in order for you to be a part of that tweet exclusive. So that's
Yeah.
another great thing to do too, because that makes your audience feel special when you're doing things just for them. And it's another way to give back to your community as well too. So I
Yeah.
really like
Well,
that because we
yeah, one of the things, Elizabeth, I know you've used that very effectively. That may be relatively new to them. Kim's asking on the side. I know we were going to answer questions at the end, but she was just think about it. She wanted to know, how do you track that? Because that was new to
the
her as
tweak
well.
exclusives. Well,
Yes.
basically, there's different ways to track it. It just all depends on how you have things set up to begin with. It's
Hmm.
almost like the contest as well. You can use things like raffle copter and things like that. You can put specific stipulations on people for them to be included in to get that exclusive deal. So it really depends on what the deal is and how you have it set up and how things are flowing. So like Thomas said in the beginning, first of all, you have to, before you just throw out a deal to people, you got to have kind of like, you have to have a strategy for that deal because you just don't want to be throwing stuff out there for free. There's a reason why
Right.
you're putting it out there to begin with. So
Right.
it should have a flow. You can do like a mind map on your computer. I love mind maps. You can do a mind map on your computer, and you can kind of figure out the flow of information within that exclusive deal that you're doing, and how you're going to wrap things up, and how you're going to give people the prize at the end, so to speak. So
Yeah.
there's different ways. I don't think there's like one way that would be effective to track your tweak exclusive. So like I said, you just have to, once you do your strategy, you'll know exactly. It'll come to you
Sure.
easy because that's kind of like at the end of the whole strategy of giving the deals to begin with. I
Well,
hope that answers
and
the
then
question.
also once you find that avatar, that client, whether if you offer a tweak exclusive to some people on Blab, make sure that that offer is something valuable to your Blab audience, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you may have some other audience it might not be as valuable to, but make sure that this is exclusive deal only for that specific audience that you're targeting.
Mhm.
One of the things I've tried, and I just want to show you as a tip, I've actually teamed with another digital agency here in the Charlotte area, and we did an exclusive deal together because the prize was something really, really expensive, and so we shared the costs in doing it. And the thing that and the reason we chose each other to do this is we do the reputation management side, and they did mostly the creative side on the social media. So we didn't really get into any, okay, you're stepping in my fish pond type of scenarios. So, but we had a couple really expensive deals, and I thought, well, I
Mhm.
don't necessarily want to pay for this whole thing all by myself. So I'll work with them, and we kind of jointly funded this together. And
Mhm.
it turned out really well for both of us. So just an idea,
Mhm.
just you can do it with other local business for these exclusive deals, especially if you're giving out very expensive prizes. But you don't have to give out something really expensive.
Mhm.
You can do content upgrades, right? It could be a blog post upgrade, or it could be just something of value into your thing. And make sure before you do it that you have done your insights, if you're on Facebook or on Twitter, your analytics around this is valuable to your client. You may making sure, because you don't want to, certainly don't want to do a exclusive deal on something you're just testing, right?
Mhm.
Because it may fall flat on its face because they might think this isn't valuable. I mean, why'd I give you an email address for this? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Exactly.
just my 2 cents.
Just your 2 cents.
Just my 2 cents.
Well,
Anyway.
you can also just run sweepstakes and giveaways, and that kind of
Hmm.
goes along the lines of what we were talking about too. And the sweepstakes, well, this isn't exactly on Twitter, but a very effective sweepstakes is like the Random House giveaways, sweepstakes,
Yeah,
or
we talked
whatever.
about that yesterday.
And yeah, because they like, they send out all these direct mailings, and I think you said, Thomas, they send them out how many times to people?
I think I've gotten that thing at least 7 to 10 times. before that contest is over, where they've got me to buy a magazine. At one point, they've said I was going to win a car. They told me I was going to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I said, wow, this is a great lead magnet. I mean, they're getting all kind of information
Yeah, they
about this
really hammer you,
household.
don't they?
Yes, they do.
They hammer you with that information, and they probably make more money on the magazine subscriptions themselves. Because if anybody here have never heard of that before, that means you probably never got snail mail, because they always send it out in the mail, and then you get within that. Yes, they tell you don't have to buy anything in order to subscribe, but they have like all these deals for you. If you do want to enter, they have all these deals on magazine subscriptions for you to buy. So they probably make a killing. Yeah, Publishers Clearinghouse. That's the name of it. Publishers Clearinghouse. And
thank you,
Kim. And so yeah, they make
yeah,
a killing.
that is. I mean, yeah, they get. Yeah, they usually get about $30-$40 out of me every year, minimum. By the time, because I'm always getting at least the automobile, because I'm a car guy, I love cars, and I'm doing like Sports Illustrated or something like that, or I'll do Success or Black Enterprise. So they get those subscriptions out of you, boy. So I'm thinking, now, I wasn't really thinking about subscribing to these magazines until they sent this thing here. So, I mean, I think that's a great way to do it. I don't know if I hit people that many times, but I mean, it's sort of subconsciously, you feel like you're getting more and more involved in this whole Publishers Clearinghouse kind of thing. So I think that's a great analogy of just how to pretty much do sweepstakes and giveaways. I mean, that kind of scenario. And I'm just thinking about also kind of back to that same scenario, your giveaway in Australia or Canada may be different than it is in Montana or South Dakota. So you have to really think about your sweepstake and giveaway even from a different nationality or outside of local versus, international if your business spans that. So once again, it's back to that strategy piece. I think it's very much imperative, or even giveaways and sweepstakes. I mean, it sounds easy, but, you really got to think through it, really.
Yep, definitely. So for those of you that are just coming on, we want to kind of reintroduce ourselves again. And we're talking about how to attract warm leads, warm Twitter followers, rather, for maximum engagement. And so we've already went over a couple of topics, but I just wanted to stop and kind of reintroduce ourselves for people that may not know us and why they should listen to us to begin with. So you want to go ahead and reintroduce yourself, Thomas, please?
I certainly will. My name is Thomas Clark. I'm the owner of Charlotte Social 360. We are a social media marketing and reputation management and monitoring agency headquartered right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. We basically save our clients a tremendous amount of time, get them tremendous results using our focused social selling strategies. Because once again, social media and social selling are different. Social media are the tools, and we use social selling, relationship-oriented to get you new clients and deepen your relationship with your existing clients. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do for you, help you with your campaigns and get your results.
All right. And again, my name is Elizabeth Hall, and I'm your extraordinary Twitter marketing consultant specializing in all things Twitter related. And I show business owners how to actually connect with their right followers and how to communicate with them on a consistent basis. And then I help them to guide their followers to where I always say where the magic happens. And I do that using Twitter marketing techniques. I teach them Twitter marketing techniques to do this. I'm also an Amazon author of the Dig Deep and Excel Twitter Marketing Action Sheets Guide and a facilitator of the TwitterMasteryLab.com. And I always say that I'm a trainer at heart, and because I really, really love teaching people what I know. And what I know is Twitter related, and I teach people that from a user's perspective. So it's not like an outsider looking in. I actually use use the information, and I know that it works,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we wanted to share what we do with you all as well.
And I can certainly give you, I can certainly give you a testimony on our Twitter mastery class and her book, because I went through it. I was like, man, I thought I knew that. And then, you pick up little things, you just, I can tell you, I asked her the first time I went through it, I said, Liz, have you been a teacher at some tour? Because I thought your format was very educational oriented. It almost sounded like a teacher almost, but anyway.
I've never been a teacher, but I have been a trainer. But thank you very much, Thomas.
Yep.
That.
So, okay.
All right, so
where are we now?
Topics.
All right. Let's go back on our next topic here.
Okay. And so our next topic, we're going to really briefly talk about this one, and that is promoted tweets, which is something that people don't think about. And I will say, in case you all don't know, that you can actually use promoted tweets for free. You can use promoted tweets for free. And so it is well worth looking into how to use the lead generation cards, which there's no way we can go into that today because it's too long. But you can use promoted tweets for free, and those promoted tweets will go out to your Twitter followers. Now, if you want to go beyond your Twitter followers to people that don't follow you, then that's when you would have to use paid advertising when it comes to promoted tweets. Now, in order for those promoted tweets to actually attract the right people, because those are your warm Twitter followers, remember, everybody that follows you is not a warm follower. And when I say warm follower, I mean potential leads for you. So always keep that in mind. Even though, I have over, almost 35,000 followers, I know that not all 35,000 followers are actually, they're not within my target audience, but I know a majority of them are. And it's going to be the same way for you as well. So you can use promoted tweets to send out additional information. It doesn't have to be specifically a sale or a deal or a sweepstakes or anything like that. You can be actually doing promotions for your products and your services. Now, we've talked about it on the previous shows as well, that there's an 80-20 rule, or it could be a 70-30 rule. And that is that you always want to add value to your community. And to do that, you want to send out like educational and informal tweets. You will send out 80% of those, and then 20% of those will be promotional and marketing. Because if you're going to be using Twitter for your business, then you still need to be selling, right? If you're not selling and you're just sharing other people's stuff and you're not posting anything about any of your products and services, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. So you always have to remember that you're still going to be selling. And so you want to still send out promotions to your followers as well. And then, of course, you want to go beyond your followers to attract warm leads, or leads to and people. You want to guide them to where the magic happens, and that magic is going to be to your website or your brick and mortar store if you have one. So that's important. So did you have anything else to add on the promoted tweets?
Yeah, the only thing I would add, you touched on it a little, is there's different types of tweets. We can for paid ads, but we talked about promoted tweets. But I like lead gen cards. That's one of my favorite. I think that they, and the reason I like the Twitter lead generation cards, I wouldn't say they're easy to set up. You do have to take some thought, but you have to, once you set them up, you can integrate it pretty easily with your Aweber or MailChimp email to collect the data. And be honest with you, what I've seen is Twitter ads are pretty economical versus, some of the other and they're getting more and more effective is what I found, versus some of the other ads, Facebook and some of the other places. I mean, you pay a little more. So I think Twitter's still a little bit of a value. So I think if you try and $5, $10, $25 ads, you get a little more value, I think, than what I've seen on Twitter than I've seen on Facebook. And even on LinkedIn, I've seen, you get a little more value, especially if you use Twitter lead generation cards. I think that's a real key way from a promoted suite that I've seen very, very successful.
Yeah, and also just as you alluded to, like Twitter advertising, this is like a great time to use the advertising on the Twitter platform because it is relatively inexpensive as opposed to some of the other major networks. Also, people don't realize that you can still make up those well, I should say create custom audiences within the campaigns. The campaigns are almost set up the same as other social networks, the way that they do theirs. So if you've already been using paid advertising on some of the other networks, then it's pretty easy for you to set up campaigns on Twitter as well. And we don't get paid by Twitter to say this. So again, it's just something that we know that works, and we know that it's relatively inexpensive to use. But at the same time, remember that everything that we're telling you and all the recommendations, yes, we want you to go take action, but remember that you need to do testing because what works for us may not work for you. And so it's important for you to really evaluate your own brand and have your own social media goals and objectives and really kind of take it from there and do testing within, your space to make sure that things are going to work out for you.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that, and we can go on to the next topic, is if you know Facebook ads, and it's an arts and science of Facebook ads. I will tell anybody they're easy. Twitter ads tend to be a little simpler, and I found a little more effective if you had to compare the two. Because Facebook ads, you got to really know what you're doing. And that's what I found. That's been my experience. And you do with Twitter too, but I think with lead gen cards and things of that nature, you can get a little bit more value for your dollar. So I would really encourage you to think about promoted ads and using Twitter ads in your marketing campaigns.
All right, so we are going to move on to the next topic, and that is to repost your most popular clicked URL links. And so I think we've talked in the past about, looking through your analytics and figuring out what tweets are getting the best interaction, which ones are getting the most traction. But you also have to think about what your strategy is to begin with. And so you should be tracking, are people behaving the way you want them to behave when it comes to tweeting? And one great way, and it's just one, because there's several ways that you can do it, and that is to find out what your most popular links are. And of course, you want those links to be going back to where the magic happens, and that's to your website. So because I post lots of links, and some of them don't go to my website. Some of those links are from content that I shared from others. So I, not that I don't care about that stuff, but I care more about the links that are going back to my magical place of selling. And so it should be for yours too if you're using Twitter for your business. Which if you're on this call, then you're probably pretty serious about your business because you're trying to learn how to really maximize Twitter to make it work for you. And so a great way to look at that and to do some tracking, because we want to measure our return on investment. And some say that there's no way that you can measure return on investment on social media, period. And I tend to disagree with that. I think the people that say that, they just don't know how to do it. So measuring the links, or looking at where the traffic is going to, that's something that I teach people and coach them on. And so that's definitely a point that people should be tracking as well.
Yeah, and I just want to echo the test part, because I've had clients and some tests that we've run for them using links and things that are not even links even, but we're talking about links at this point. But they were getting people to do what they wanted them to do, but they weren't actually taking the entire action. Like, for example, they wanted them to sign up for their ebook or their blog post, or they wanted to sign up for like a consultation. People were stopping. So they said, oh, wait a minute. They're clicking on the link, but they're not signing up for the consultation. So once again, you got to kind of test it to be sure, okay, what would make them sign up for the consultation if that was the end goal? Or was the end goal a promoted tweet, or was it a contest? So think through your entire end goal, and you almost gotta, I almost say you just gotta test it and then do the analytics and monitor. Maybe you let it run a couple of days, see if it's working, then kind of come back and say, wow, did we get people to actually do what we wanted? And if they did, it's a successful link or a promoted tweet or your ad campaign. But if they're not doing what you want them to do, don't deem it as successful and don't give up. So, and you know, once again, and I mean, we do that as well, but I would tell you in your own business, be sure you're testing it. Test, and analyze.
And not just test, but, you know, adjust if you have to.
Oh yeah, you gotta adjust. Oh yeah.
You gotta adjust.
Well, that's why you're testing. I mean, because if it's not working, you gotta be willing to adjust. That's a very good point, Liz.
Hey, Thomas, sometimes you just gotta say things out loud. You can't assume it.
Yes, that's true. That's right.
Yep. So another way for you to attract your warm clients is to make sure that you're tweeting out at different times. So again, that all goes along with your goals and your objectives. You know, who are you actually sending your message out to? Are you just tweeting to people within your locale? Then, you know, you may only want to concentrate your tweets on a specific time zone. But if you have products and services that you are selling to planet Earth, then Twitter is definitely a great place for you to do that, because whenever you send a tweet, you are essentially tweeting out to planet Earth. And so you want to make sure that you're covering as many time zones as you can. And so this kind of goes into the frequency of your tweets as well. And we discussed that also as far as how much you should tweet. And basically the answer is a lot. You should tweet a lot, as much as you can, as much as your resources will allow you to, because we work in the social media space. So, you know, we don't expect other people to be able to tweet as much as we do. However, if they use our services, then they can expect that we can tweet as much as we do, because that's where staying in your lane comes in. If it's not something that you could do, then you need to give it to the professionals that can.
Right.
And so it's definitely worth the testing to see how your tweets are received when you are sending them out to different time zones. Absolutely. So did you have anything to add to that one, Thomas?
Yeah, the only thing I'd add, and just to echo what you're saying, and I mean, this was a big test for me. You know, like if you have an audience, like say in the UK, if you have an audience in Australia, you got an audience in Asia Pacific, and people here on the East Coast, West Coast, different things. So test at different times, and what you may find, because when we ran analytics just to find it, I found out that we got more engagement from professional women in the evenings between 7:30 and 9 p.m. and 10 o'clock. I don't know why. And I guess, I don't know, maybe men stay up later, but it seemed like about 10 p.m. the engagement went up for men. So, I mean, it just, I thought, wow, this is interesting to kind of know if you're targeting, you know, who you're targeting, even if it's a gender specific thing. So, I mean, once again, this is back to thinking through your time that when you test it, and, you know, test it in the morning, test it in the evening, see when you get the most, because there's some real early risers. You know, sometimes I've seen things like 6 o'clock, 6:30 a.m. be a big hit, and when you try it during the day, it's like crickets. It's like nobody's out there.
Crickets and tumbleweed.
Crickets and tumbleweed. So that's have an editorial calendar. I would really suggest everybody to get either a tool or make sure you have an editorial calendar. And what I mean by that, on Monday, you post these things. And once again, as you're measuring, be sure you're willing to adjust that calendar specifically for your audience. Like you may have a different calendar for international than you do for people here in the U.S. And it could be even time zone specific is what I found for certain clients. I mean, the West Coast, in the morning, most of them folks aren't even up when we're up in the morning, right? And so you just got to be very, very specific about your time and when you tweet. And
definitely.
Yep. So I think, that's a real live situation that I'm talking about with our agency as well as with our clients.
Yep. And so before we have a few more topics to go through, but after we get done, we're going to actually answer questions. So we're going to be doing our Q&A. So if you all have any questions, you can type in the /Q and then the space and then put your question in, and we'll be answering questions at the end. And we'll also be opening up some seats for questions specifically. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and start asking your questions. We just have a few more things that we like to just go over real quick. Okay. Now, we'll just do, we'll talk about live tweets. And so,
we had a lively discussion about this, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a lively discussion about the live tweets because the name is kind of a little bit, it's a bit deceptive, but not. So when you say live tweets, people say, "What are you talking about? Twitter is in real time already." So everything is a live tweet, but I'm just going to give you an example, and then you're going to know what I'm talking about when it comes to live tweeting and something that you can use within your business or your organization as well. Now, I just like to ask people, because, I like to keep it a little bit interactive here. How many people stayed up on New Year's Eve and they watched some of those, those shows that bring the New Year's in, like, Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve Party? If you watch one of those shows, put a 1 over in the comments. And also, they do it like on sporting events. They do it, they do the live tweeting on TV shows as well. So if you did stay up and you watched the shows, one of those New Year's shows, you would have noticed that every time an entertainer or actor came up or a celebrity came up, every time that they showed them on the screen, they actually posted their Twitter handle on there, or they had a hashtag pertaining to that particular entertainer. And what they did was they asked people to tweet it out. So as things were actually unfolding, people would tweet out the information, and that's what's called live tweeting. And Thomas, you said like one of your relatives actually was doing some live tweeting while you were watching the game, right?
You know what? Much as I love my son-in-law, I was about ready to strangle him. He was tweeting me at the Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals game this past weekend. And I finally texted him back. I said, "Prince, if you live tweet me one more time about this game, I am watching it." He says, "But you can't." He says, "Pop, you can't see what's going on down in the field. You should see so-and-so down there with the coach and so-and-so. They don't show that on TV." I'm thinking, wow, okay, he was giving me play-by-play. But, once again, that goes back to what we were talking about, whether it's a live event, it's a live tweet versus you just tweeting in your regular, what I call Twitter feed. So it could be a live event, and you're giving people real-time access to something that they may not be able to see on TV and things of that nature. So just kind of think about your tweets a little differently from that perspective. I guess it's kind of like, that's kind of the way I see Periscope, right? Kind of that live kind of thing. That's kind of why I like Blab a little better for me personally, but Periscope is more that live kind of thing. So think about your live tweets. It's kind of synonymous. It's kind of way I see the benefits and the way to use things like Periscope for a live, interactive, I'm right here, right now kind of a thing. So just think about live tweeting as part of your overall sales and marketing strategy for your business.
Right.
I mean,
And I'll give you another great example. I don't know if we have any Walking Dead fans out
oh
there.
boy, I knew you were gonna come up with this Walking Dead.
I love Walking Dead personally. I'm a zombie kind of sci-fi kind of girl. I can't help it. And so Walking Dead, they really do the live tweeting well.
Hmm.
They actually and what AMC has done, the AMC is a network that hosts The Walking Dead. As after the actual Walking Dead show, they have another show that comes on that's called The Talking Dead, and it's a talk show, and they talk about the episode that just aired for The Walking Dead. So it's like really interesting, and they do an incredible amount of live tweeting on there. So they ask the audience questions and they tell them, tweet this out using this hashtag, play dead or something like that. And
Hmm.
so, and they do contests also, and they do it using the live tweeting as well. So they do it really effectively on that show. And, they're not the only shows that do that, but I've seen it a lot
Yeah.
on those shows. So that's an example of the live tweeting. Now, so today we've been talking about, we're kind of wrapping up the series on ways to attract warm Twitter followers, and hopefully everybody is going to take action with some of the information that we've actually given you. And so I'm just going to do like a really quick recap because we're going to run out of time soon. So we still want to take some questions if anybody has any questions. And so we talked about shaping the perception of your followers by being a resource and answering questions. We talked about having regular contests, offering exclusive deals, running sweepstakes and giveaways. And also we talked about some ideas for promoted tweets. And then you also want to make sure that you do some tracking as well by reposting most of your most popularly clicked URL links and tweet at different times. And then last we talked about live tweeting, which most people don't really think about, is
Yeah.
live tweeting piece.
Yeah.
So again, if you kind of came in the middle, we're going to just kind of reintroduce ourselves real quick. And then we're going to get ready to open up for the Q&A as well. And so, Thomas, would you like to go ahead and reintroduce yourself again, please?
Yeah. Yeah. And I just add one other thing. We did talk about promoted sweet tweets and Twitter ads a little bit. But my name is Thomas Clark. I'm with Charlotte Social 360. I am the owner of the agency here, headquartered right out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We do two things. We focus on social media marketing and reputation management and monitoring, where we help you clean up. If you have a bad reputation, we kind of help you get listed. We things of that nature, and work. And we also do the alerts for you and manage the alerts as well as the management of your reputation, and all in a social selling type of focus. Because at the end of the day, our focus in social selling is to basically get you new clients and deepen relationships with your existing clients at the end of the day. And once again, like I said, we focus on the reputation management and monitoring side, as well as social media management, saving you a tremendous amount of time for the business owner and the business itself, as well as getting you tremendous amount of results.
All right. And again, my name is Elizabeth Hall, and I am your extraordinary Twitter marketing consultant specializing in all things Twitter related. And I show business owners how to connect with their relevant audience, how to communicate with that audience, and then I help them to guide people to where the magic happens, which is their website, so that they can make the conversions. And I do all that by teaching them Twitter marketing techniques. Now, before we go on, I just wanted to go ahead and kind of put my offer out here for you all. And so for those of you that are actually, you're staying here with us on this informative blab, I just wanted to give like a special discount off on my Twitter coaching, or it'll be your Twitter coaching, of course. And this will not only help you to grow your Twitter following quickly, but you'll also begin to see actual results based on your Twitter marketing goals. So with this offer, you'll get like $100 off. And that's just for those that sign up immediately. So that's $100 off of the coaching. Now, this is a value added investment for business owners who are serious about building their online relationships that lead to leads. And I'll be sharing my Twitter expertise. I never hold anything back. I'll be sharing my expertise with you for a full hour to help you to map out a solid marketing strategy so your actions lead to true conversions. And you have my ear because this is a one-on-one closed session. And I'll also send you a recording of the call immediately after we get done for future references. Again, you'll get $100 off of the package. And all you need to do is to just email me at blab@smartofficehelp.com. So if you look up over my head where it has the @smartofficehelp.com, just put blab in front of there. And that's blab@smartofficehelp.com. And in the subject, just put coach me. And again, that's just for today. So you just have to, you have to act on that today. So we've already recapped the topic for this. And I always like to give people like an actionable tip when it comes to our shows, because we like for people to take action. And so I just would like for you to just take the time to get to know what's happening on your profile behind the scenes and kind of dig into your analytics, because they're very valuable. They have a lot of information. Of course, there's third-party resources you can use as well. But just on a beginner's level, I would definitely say to begin to kind of use your analytics. I mean, me and Thomas are huge fans of tracking what's working for you. If you're not tracking anything, then you could be spinning your wheels, and you don't really want to do that. And I'm sure Thomas will agree with me on that one.
Yeah, we watch it. I watch it. If it's a campaign, I watch it daily. But for our business and our clients, we have every Friday is our analytics day. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are looking at, okay, what did we do all week, and did it work? And okay, we should adjust and do something different for the weekend and next week. And that's something that we didn't actually talk about today is weekend as far as tweets, but we can actually talk about that in another show. Mm-hmm. But I mean, weekends are a great time to tweet, be honest with you. Sometimes people don't take advantage of the weekends.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I think that I'm going to open up the seat, or?
Yep, we'll open up the seat. And if anybody has any questions, we would love to hear from you today, because, I mean, you guys are getting it for free. So, and we'd like for people to come in that do have questions, and because we do get people that like to come in and they like to, add value as well. But we want to have people that have actual questions for us so that we can answer and help you out. Because that's a better way for us to serve our community, is to help people that have questions. So if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to jump in the seat. We've talked today about the ways that you can attract your warm Twitter followers. I can't say that we beat that horse to death, but we have talked about it over the course of our series, and I felt like it was really effective and a great way to really help people to understand that there's a lot more to Twitter than you think. It's not just the 140 characters that are out there. And, when you look at your feed, it looks a little bit overwhelming. But when you dig deeper into things, you see that you can really use Twitter effectively to market your business. And that's really what we teach people. So if anybody has any questions, please let us know. We'd love to.
Jump in the seat, or either you can do the /Q space if you have a question about anything today, or if you even had a question from the last 3 weeks. I guess we've been kind of talking about these different techniques for following Twitter and getting maximum engagement. So I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we want to make sure you guys are doing. Hi, Evangelos. Thanks for joining. That's Evangelos is our friend from Portugal.
Oh, okay. Hey. Well, while we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions, because we'll leave the seat open for a little while and see if anybody wants to come in and ask us any questions. Thomas, like what's like your best way or your favorite way to attract followers for your profile, like relevant followers, of course.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that you asked that because I first of all I would say change it often. I try to change mine. It could be a word or it could be Elizabeth actually made some suggestions to me about 2 weeks ago. I like to use hashtags, okay, relevant hashtags. I use about me. A lot of people use their website. I mean, that's a really nice tip because that's really at the end of the day, your landing page, your website is typically where you want them to go. So, I mean, use those 160 characters very, very thoughtfully. And also change it. I mean, if you find that you're not getting enough clicks, change it. I mean, I have about me up there, and I really felt like initially I had the Charlotte Social 360 brand, but I really felt like they needed to know, sales with over 30 years in sales and the digital agency I work for and things of that nature. So I felt like if that would be a way for the people to understand, okay, wow, this guy really, he's been in the trenches, so he's not just, talking about this stuff. I mean, he worked with a digital agency and he has 30 years of sales between Teletech, HP, and IBM. So that, so I use that. And yeah, I would say hashtags. I use about me. You don't have to use about me. You can use and I would say put your URL there, or with a bit.ly link or something of that nature, just to shorten it because you only have a couple, the 160 characters. But I would say really, really, and just test different things to see, because in your analytics you'll see who's clicking, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you want them to click on your website. Really, that would be my suggestion. And what would you add to that, Elizabeth?
Yeah, for me, I think like my favorite way. Overall way to attract followers is to follow the right people to begin with. So, because like I said, it's easy to get followers. If you want numbers and you want to like waste your time, then right. It's easy to get followers. And we never want people to buy followers. There's always been that argument out there about social proof and buying followers, but no. It just, to me, it just kind of skews your numbers. It does nothing for your brand. If you're not getting people in that actually that are actually going to buy from you, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. But
it's also. It's a couple of schools of thought about the follow, the rule of following and follow me back kind of a thing. Once again, it has to be a mutually beneficial relationship, right? Yeah. I mean, they're expecting value. You got to be willing to give it. But if you're not getting any value from that person you're following, I say unfollow them. Or don't follow them at all. I mean, it's okay that you don't follow everybody. I mean, because at the end of the day, and I'm very active on my Twitter for the agency as well as for our clients. I mean, I tell people I want to engage with you. And my expectation is that you are going to engage with us. If you are not willing to do that, there's no use us really following each other, because you have what I call people that are just looking for numbers, right? I call them the hanger-oners. You don't need any hanger-oners. I mean, because you're no good to them and they are no good to you. And I will get rid of hanger-oners. And I go through every week and get rid of my hanger-oners. If you haven't talked to me in 30 days or 60 days, you are somebody that really doesn't want to engage with our brand, because I've tried, believe me. and like I said, when I'm using that DM a lot, some people don't like to do this, but I'll tell them I am following you because I want to engage with you when appropriate, right? And because we're getting ready to start our blog, our social sales closer blog. I let them know that certain things are happening within the company, and I like to know what's going on with them. So I mean, it's all about engagement, and if you're not getting them and you're not engaging with somebody, I mean, so you have them out there as a hanger on, and that's not a big deal. Like I said, you may have, like I said, I have almost 30,000 followers, but sure, I certainly can't say I got a list of, I would say probably about 300, 400 that I interact with a lot. And then I have some people I don't interact with that much. So, you need to find out, who that list is, right? And that's what you use lists for, which is part of our next topic next week, by the way, right? So anyway.
Yeah. And so just for those of you that might have missed out, I always like to try to serve my community by, adding something special. We kind of talked about giving people tweet exclusives. And so this is a Blab exclusive, something that I don't do all the time. And so for those that have stayed on for so long, I wanted to really offer them like a special discount off of the Twitter coaching. Now, my Twitter coaching, it goes for around $150 per hour. And so I wanted to do this to help people to grow their Twitter following quickly and to begin to actually see results based on their Twitter goals. And so I want to give $100 off of that for those that sign up immediately. And it's only good for today. And that's going to be $100 off of the normal price of $149. So it's $149.99. And so you get $100 off of that. And all you need to do, again, is to send me an email, and you would do that by sending it to blab@smartofficehelp.com. And you see it right above my head where it says @smartofficehelp.com. You can put Blab in front of there. So blab@smartofficehelp.com. And in the subject, just put Coach Me. And this is a value-added investment, again, for business owners who are serious about building their online relationships that gets leads, because you can be online and you can be social and not really be leading people into your sales funnel. And so that's what I help people with. And so I'm sharing my Twitter expertise with you for a full hour to help you to map out a solid marketing strategy so that your actions lead to true conversions. And you have my ear. This is a one-on-one closed session. And I also include the recording of the call immediately after it's finished, that you can use for future reference. Again, if you want to get that $100 off of that coaching package, and all you need to do is to email me at blab@smartofficehelp.com, and then in the subject put Coach Me, and you must act today. It's only going to be good for today on that.
And Wizard, Wizard has already typed it in for us. We got a great team, and I will tell you guys, it's recorded for $50 or less for Liz. Jump on it. I'm telling you, jump on it. This lady knows her stuff. And I've been around a lot of Twitter people. She knows her stuff.
Now, still, if anybody still has any questions, we have the seat open for you. If you'd like to ask us any questions, if you're too shy, you can just put a /Q on the side, and then put a space and put your question. I'll be happy to, and we'll be happy to answer your questions as well.
Okay.
Also, our next show is going to be next Wednesday at 4:00 Eastern. We have the Smart Twitter Talk Show every Tuesday. Every Wednesday. Every Wednesday yep. At 4 p.m. Eastern. So we'll put the link down below so that you can subscribe to the show as well. Because you don't want to miss out. If you haven't already followed us, you can follow us by just up over our heads. So, if that little man still has the white background, that means you're not following us. So you need to click on him so that you'll get notifications when we have new shows as well on that.
All
right. And so anybody want to come in? We're still open. I mean, you get it for free. You can come ask us any question that you like. We love to have you come in. No takers today.
I think Crystal just joined, and if you have any questions, if you don't want to come in a seat, just do a /Q and a space. And any question, it could be about today's subjects, which was getting more engagement, maximum engagement. And we talked about, promoted tweets and Twitter ads. We talked about the tweeting at different times. Any questions you have about your Twitter thing as far as engagement, certainly do a /Q and a space. And we would answer that question. We'll give it a few more minutes, and if not, we'll call it a wrap, and we'll see you next week. Yeah. When we're going next week at the same time. We're going to talk about Twitter. I believe it's Twitter lists. If it's not, am I not mistaken, Liz?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes. But for anybody that's just coming on, we are just kind of wrapping up our series on Twitter, on the Smart Twitter Talk Show. We're talking about ways to attract warm Twitter followers for maximum engagement. And of course, you can always see them on the replay. We actually, between all 4 shows, we've actually discussed over 40 creative ways. We really dug deep into those ways on how to attract warm Twitter followers. And when we say what warm Twitter followers, we mean those followers that could actually be leads for us. Within Absolutely. Our business. And when I say us, I mean you guys out there and us, because if you're watching this, then you're in it for business. And so, and we're in it for business as well. And so we always like to share what we know works on a business level, as far as Twitter marketing techniques, because, on the surface, Twitter just looks so easy and, it doesn't look like it would be useful. But when you really dig deep into it, you see right away that you can really get some traction with Twitter with no problem. And you can really, really be selling on a global level. Yeah. Twitter doesn't limit, who gets to see your tweets. Everything is in real time, and we talked about the live tweeting as well. So that's always nice too. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, we have we'll stay on for like a couple of more minutes. And again, if you have not subscribed, we'll put the link the link is already there for the next show. You can go over and subscribe to the next show. We'll be talking about Twitter list on the next show. And did you have anything else that you wanted to add, Thomas?
Yeah, I would just say we also talked about promoted tweets and the ads and Twixclusive, which is something that is very unfamiliar for most people on Twitter. I mean, that Twixclusive is something that's fabulous to use as far as for these exclusive contests and things of that nature. So, take advantage of it. And be honest with you, like I said, we look at Pinterest, Facebook, and all of them, and they're great for what they do. But I say, as far as ads, Twitter is a great value. So really consider Twitter ads in your social media strategy. I mean, it's really a great value because you got to, you have to do some paid. You have to do some paid. So certainly consider it.
Yeah. And so we're going to go ahead and we are going to wrap it up for today. I want to thank everybody that came on with us, and we'll see you on the next show. And we'll go ahead and post out a few more links out. We're just going to go ahead and wrap it up. And again, thanks so much, and make sure you join us on the next show next Wednesday. All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Thanks.